In this video, I'm going to show you how I took this drab chest of drawers and made it into an awesome farmhouse chest. First, look at the stain. It was a terrible job and also had this clamshell and this extra knob there, and I didn't like any of it. So the first thing is we're going to take a piece of painter's tape and we're going to plug the hole where I unscrewed the knob, and then we're going to take Durham's wood putty, mix it with water. Add as much water as you need to make it as thick as you want to make it. And then I'm just using a popsicle stick and applying it to the places that I need to get covered. Once it's hard, it is rock hard. All you have to do is then take it to a sanding sponge or an orbital sander, and you're going to have an amazing durable finish. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take these drawers out. I wanted you to see them. Surprise, surprise, I'm not painting the hardware today. This is the hardware. I love it. I love this hardware. It screamed farmhouse to me. I'm going to paint, I've never done this before. I'm going to paint the base of this, and I'm just going to take these out to make it easier on me. I'm going to paint the base in black velvet. This is our soft black. I do this all the time. I have a tray, just a generic tray, and then I put press and seal on it, and then I'm going to take my paint. All right, so what I always like to do too is I like to start with a wet brush. So I'm going to just dampen this a little bit, maybe a little bit more. Now this is not terribly slick, and so it's going on pretty smooth. I'm just gonna get the side trim really quick, and then I'm gonna flip this and we're gonna paint the sides white. Vintage linen is a great white color. When you're doing whites, you're probably gonna have at least 2 to 3 coats. Wetting your brush helps the paint to glide. The more water that you use, the less paint that you need, and it depends on the finish that you're after. But I want a good solid coat, so I'm not using a lot of water. Apothecary. It's an amazing DIY paint color. It's a blue-green color. It works great for farmhouse. And on this chest, I wanted to add just a little peak of color as if it had been painted a couple of different times, and I just did that on the drawer fronts. But I did do 2 good solid coats on the side to give me a good base for my decoupage paper. When you're decoupaging, whatever color that you have behind the piece of paper is going to impact the finished look, and I wanted a good white background to make it pop. Now, I'd been painting this all day, but I didn't wrap my brush up like I normally do, so it was a little bit hard. All I have to do is to reactivate the paint, is to wet my brush, and then I'm able to continue painting. So I know that I want some of this apothecary to show through, so instead of painting a solid coat of that paint, I'm just letting the apothecary peek through. It just eliminates sanding or wet distressing later on. Now here's a great trick. If you've taken your hardware out of your drawers, use a screwdriver to pull out your drawer. This way you can get around those edges and around the drawers. And here especially, because I don't want my black to have white on it. So now I'm taking Iron Orchid Design Birdsong Decor Mold and Iron Orchid Design Air Dry Clay to make a casting. Look at the details. I love IOD molds. I took 2 of the birds and I went ahead and I glued them with Titebond Quick and Thick glue. And then I'm just making sure that I apply it down and get it nice and good. I'm applying a spot coat here and there of the black velvet where I need it. I don't want it totally covered because I did allow some of the wood to come through, and then I did go ahead and apply a good coat, actually 2 coats of black velvet on the top. So these papers are large. They're 20 by 30, but it's not large enough for the side of this piece. and I'm gonna do the entire side in the buffalo check on both sides. So what I'm gonna show you, if you've never tried this before, I'm gonna kind of dry fit it and have it sitting here. And then when we get this one, see how much paper, how much room I have left on the bottom? We're gonna take another piece and we're gonna put it together. But I'm not gonna leave it as it is. I'm going to kind of blend them together by tearing the edges apart so that I can get a really good, almost seamless fit. Drawing a line, raggedy line, and then I'm ripping it here. And that is what's going to help the paper go into each other. Now, you see how this paper is raggedy like that? That's gonna help us. So I have DIY Paint's Big Top. It's our top coat. It's like a polyacrylic. I have it in my FIFO bottle. I'm just gonna squeeze some in here. It helps me not to contaminate my paint. And I have a wet brush, and I'm just going to go ahead and we're going to take it piece by piece. We're going to start here in the top, and I'm just applying my big top, which again is like a polyacrylic, and I'm just making sure that I get a good amount on here. I'm just going to try to get this really close to up top, and I'm using my hands. I prefer not to because I'm hot, and you can rip the paper. Thank you. All right, so I just like to take plastic wrap and just make a ball. I'm sure you've seen a lot of us do this, but if you're new to decoupage, then you may not have seen this technique. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna apply my big top right here. And see, once it dries, it's gonna be really hard to detect, and it's gonna be To seal this dresser, I'm using DIY Paint's Clear Wax. You could use Big Top as well. It just gives you a different finish. I like the finish that wax gives a piece. I just get it all over there using my wax brush. And I actually had a little bit of white wax on my brush, and so it got onto the hardware, and I really liked the way that looked, but I did rub it out some. DIY wax is super easy to use. It's buttery smooth and it just glides on, and it gives an amazing durable finish. I usually put 2 coats of wax on my pieces, and then I buff it at the end. You can see where the wax is because it makes the paint brighten up and get vibrant, and so you can always tell where you have wax and where you haven't. I forgot to add some details to these molds because they're so detailed. The cavities of the molds are amazing, and so I wanted to make sure that I pulled some of the details out. And so I grabbed a little bit of black velvet and I smudged it and watered it down and mushed it in there with the wax. And then I took a lint-free cloth and I rubbed back some of the paint. I also went ahead and put a little bit of apothecary on there as well. To cut the decoupage on the bottom, I just took a wet brush and made a line and just tore the paper very easily, and then sanded it a little bit, and then just put some Big Top on there to seal it. Then there were some spots that I needed to touch up where the decoupage paper didn't go on there, and I just took some black velvet and a small artist brush and filled in those areas. Now it's time to buff the piece. I like to use this buffing brush on my drill, and it just makes it really super durable, and it creates a really wonderful sheen to the piece. Here's the finished piece. I think it came out amazing. I don't do a lot of farmhouse looks, but this one is so awesome. I love the way that it turned out, and I can't wait for someone to come and make this their own. It's available right now at 575 McCoy Avenue in Madisonville, Kentucky. If you haven't subscribed yet, please be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and also comment on here and let me know what was your favorite part. Have you ever decoupaged before? I want to know. I can't wait to hear from you.